The 9550i is the latest scale from DataLogic. It replaces the 9300 and 9400 scale lines. There's also a 9600 line and a 9900 line above it. The 9600 adds advanced capabilities. The 9900 is low profile. The 9550 is your basic scale. 1D, 2D barcodes scan just fine in horizontal, vertical, and kind of anything in between. It's your standard scale where it has a built-in 30-pound scale onto it, and then it's a 1D, 2D barcode scanner. It's available in a single cable model, or you can add a second cable if you need to do a double USB and serial connection. When comparing to the 93 and 9400, the big changes are that this uses less energy than the previous models, and the scanning speed is up about 40% is what they say. It's a little more motion tolerant as well, so you can really move the barcodes quickly through the field of view. And then damaged and faded barcodes will scan a little better than the previous models. It's not a drastic difference, it's just kind of a small subtle difference on it. Additionally, they redid the top so that if you have a bigger item, you can get a weight by pressing the top of the scale, or if it's a larger item that's kind of leaning on it, that this is part of the platter so that you can get a read if it's leaning on top of it. Other than that, it's going to fit in the same size hole that you had previously. This is the flange mount, so you would drop it into a hole. The shelf mount has feet where it would sit on top of a counter or inside some kind of shelf and then be leveled using the feet. Standard features on the 9550: volume control. It has 3 different volume levels. You can also adjust the volume through the settings. This is your tare button. If you're gonna be putting something on the scale that has a tray that you want to zoom out, use your tare button. And then the whole weight platter lifts up. So underneath it, you have the optics. So you can see the bi-optics, horizontal and vertical scanners. There also is a hidden port down in here for configuration. You can put both a micro SD card that has configuration information on it. There's also a micro USB port for plugging in a micro USB cable for additional configuration on it. Other than that, most of the rest of the scale you don't need to touch. There's also a certification for doing weights and measure. This is the flange mount version, so when placing this into your counter, you're going to cut a hole bigger than the base, and then the flange hold it up. So, very sturdy, it just kind of hangs from the base. You don't really need to screw it down. That's how it works. The shelf mount version will add bottom. These flanges come off, and then you get feet mounted into the base. And then with feet mounted into the base, then it would sit on a counter or sit on a hole inside of a counter. So it's a little more of a flush look if you don't use the flanges. It's just kind of what you prefer for your style. One doesn't work better than the other. There's a variety of ports back here. Most of the time you'll just be set up in this. So this is your AC adapter, so the plug stays in no matter what. And then your main cable here, this is a single cable serial. One end looks like an Ethernet cable and the other end is your 9-pin serial cable. If you're using a 2-cable setup, then there's an auxiliary port that you plug in the secondary cable. And then there is, if you're using EAS, the deactivator, that goes in here. And then there's also spots for adding an additional like handheld USB scanner or other accessories. And then your remote display plugs in here. So if your state requires you to have a remote display for your scale, then that's where the port for the remote display would be. The idea behind the extended hood is to make weighing large items easier. In the past, the previous units, the hood would cut off here, and so the item would have to be sitting right here in the center to get weighed. So with the extended hood, if it's going over the top, like say you have a giant loaf of bread, and it kind of hung over the side here, you could still get a weight, because as long as it's on any piece of this, then it's getting weight. So it just adds a capability to weigh some bigger items. The 9600 adds advanced capabilities on it. Honestly, right now, the advanced capabilities aren't used. What they did is put an AI engine into the scanner scale, and it's for object detection. So what it's supposed to be is like if you have an apple and you have a barcode on the apple, when you scan it, it's going to look at it and say, yes, that barcode matches an apple. If you scan it and it's like a steak and they go, no, that's the barcode for an apple, and you just put a steak on the scale, then it's going to throw an error. So that's the intent of the AI. Your software has to integrate it, and right now we're not aware of any grocery softwares that integrate that kind of capability, but it is possible, especially if you're writing your own software. The 9900 is the low profile, so this hood sticks up, about 6 to 8 inches, and then the 9900 it's just shorter, so it's going to be about half the height, and it just gives you a different look. If you want a more level counter, then that's what the 9900 is for. The scanning capabilities are going to be very similar. It's just a little bit shorter. All models will have the ability to add on accessories like a customer display and then a secondary scanner with like a top down, so that you can get the low plane, the vertical plane, and then a top plane. So it's really easy to scan using the top down scanner. The 9550 works the same way as older models. We're in Cash Register Express right now. We just grab a weight and it just brings it in just like you did any other scale connected to it. The 9550 is the base model from DataLogic. The 9600 is above it. This is the replacement for the 9394. The configuration barcodes have changed, so if you are replacing a 9394, you might have to redo your configuration barcodes. You might not be able to use those older barcodes. Additionally, there might be a firmware update that you're going to have to do on your scale before you can use it if you're replacing one of the older models. For more information on this product or to purchase, please visit us at POSGuys.com. Thank you.